there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. I haven't done one of these videos in a really long time, but I wanted to get back into doing them because I like to keep myself accountable for some books that I plan on reading. I have chosen 10 books that I'm going to read this month. Obviously I'm going to read a lot more than 10, but these are the ones that I definitely want to read and I want to stick to them. And I'm hoping by making this video I actually read all 10 of these. I'd love to hear what you guys are going to be reading in the month of October. As always, I will link all these books down below and let's get right into it. The first one I have to talk about is a new release, and I'm really excited for it because it is by one of my favorite author duos, and that is Well Played by Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. I love Vi's and Penelope's work solo, but I also love their books together, and the premise of this one really has a lot of things in it that I love in romance. It's about a single mom whose son inherits half of her grandmother's inn. So the heroine and her son move to that inn, but they have to live there with the other person who inherited the other half of the inn. And the hero is an NFL player and he wants to sell the inn, whereas the heroine wants to fix it up and run it. So they come to some agreement, they make a plan, and I'm assuming that things just don't really go how they should. I just know this one is going to be really good and I also love the cover. Then I have Dirty Curve by Megan Brandy. I've never read anything by this author before, but when it was released back in I think August, I saw a lot of people say really good things about it, and it has some high ratings and great reviews on Goodreads. It is a new adult college baseball romance. The hero is kind of cocky, he is very popular, and the heroine is his tutor who really doesn't care who he is. She doesn't care about sports. New adult can be hit or miss for me, especially with kind of cocky heroes. So I'm hoping I like this one, and like I said, I heard so many good things and I'm hoping I find a new favorite author. Then we have Give Me a Reason by A.L. Jackson. This is another new to me author, and I have a couple friends on Instagram who have been begging me to read her books, and this is the first book in a new series, so I figured this would be a good place to start. The hero in this story is a single father and he owns some type of club, and the heroine is a teacher, but she needs more money for something, so she actually applies for a job at the club, and as it turns out, she is the hero's child's teacher. So it's definitely complicated in that regard because she's working for the hero while also teaching his child. And this is a little bit outside of my comfort zone because I believe it has some darker elements to it. I think it might be slightly MC, or the hero used to be in an MC. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm really hoping I love it because I love the cover and I've heard amazing things about this author's books. Then I have an older book, and that is Some Sort of Happy by Melanie Harlow. This is the first book in the Happy Crazy Love series, and I've been really wanting to read this series. I have friends who have enjoyed it, and I really love Melanie Harlow's newer works. I've read her 3 most recent series and a couple of other books as well. And this is about our heroine who I believe works in Hollywood. I think she works on some kind of set. I don't know if she's an actress or if she works in production, but I know something went poorly with her job and she returned to her small town, and that's where she sees the hero who she ended up going to school with growing up, but she hasn't seen since. And they end up having a romance. I think he's damaged and has a bad past, and they end up healing each other, which sounds really good. Melanie does write really good small town romances, so I am hoping this gives me that fix. Then we have A Nordic King by Karina Halley. This is the 3rd book in the Nordic Royal series. Usually I like to start series at book number 1, but I've heard that this one is a complete standalone and that the books don't really have a lot of crossover. And I figured I would pick this one up because it has been recommended to me numerous times and people seem to love it, and one of my really good friends really loved it, so I figured I would read it. I don't know, the cover kind of looks summery, but I'm in the mood for it, so I'm gonna read it even though it is fall. Our heroine in this story is a nanny, and she nannies all across Europe, and she is Australian, and she ends up getting a job for a family in Denmark. And little does she know her new boss is actually a king, and that is our hero. He is a single father. So this has so many things that I love in it, and I am really excited to pick it up. Then I have one by an author I really enjoy, and she just redid the covers for this series, so that is why it's on this list, because I really like the cover and I figured now would be a good time to read it. And that is Sweet on Wild by Fabiola Francisco. This is the first book in the Sweet on You series. It's a small town romance, and I believe that the 2 main characters kind of have a happenstance meeting. They have a really cute whirlwind romance, but their lives are going in different directions, so they don't really know if their relationship will last. Based on the reviews and the premise, I think it's going to be a very sweet romance, nothing too angsty or too dramatic, and sometimes I really like that for a palate cleanser between kind of heavier reads. Then I have another new release. I have it on hold at the library and it says I'm going to get it in a couple of weeks, so I'll be able to read it in October, and that is At First Hate by K.A. Lind, and this is the second book in the Coastal Chronicles series. I read the first book in the series back when it wasn't even a series. It was a love triangle book, and I believe the hero in this book is about the hero that wasn't chosen in book 1. It is an enemies to lovers romance. The hero and heroine know each other from college, but they come from completely different backgrounds. One of them comes from kind of privilege. The other one had to work their way up in the world. They parted ways after college, but then they end up seeing each other again because the heroine's grandmother dies and she ends up having to fight for her grandmother's company because the hero's company is trying to like buy the company or take it over, kind of like ruin the grandmother's legacy. So there's definitely enemies to lovers there, and it sounds really good, and again, I love this cover. Then I have Love You Better by Britt Benson, and this is the author's debut novel, and I was really excited to support this author and buy this ebook. So since I just had gotten it a couple of weeks ago, I want to read it as soon as possible. It's the first book in a series, and it's a friends to lovers second chance romance, which I love both of those tropes, so I'm really excited to read this one, and the cover is really cute. Then I have another new to me author, and that is Running Into Trouble by Anastasia Austin. This is another one that I added to my TBR because of the cover, but then when I read the synopsis, it really cemented that I wanted to read it. It's an age gap romance. The hero is into pottery. He's also a single father with a teenage daughter, and the heroine is a sous chef who is only a few years older than said daughter. It's forbidden. I love the interest of the two main characters, and it sounds good. The last one is also a new to me author. I added this to my TBR because of the cover, but it does sound really good. I haven't really heard anyone talk about it, and that is Before Us There Was Him by Lou Stock. And this romance sounds really angsty. I believe the two main characters had a romance in the past. It was very passionate, but something tore them apart, and the heroine ended up moving to NYC to restart her life and leave him in the past. Years later, he ends up finding her. She's with someone else. She might even be engaged. She's trying to move on with her life, but then when he shows back up, he kind of ruffles some feathers and shakes everything up in her life, and she starts questioning what she wants to do. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a love triangle or just a second chance romance, but either way, it sounds really good, and sometimes I'm really in the mood for something angsty. So those are 10 romances I want to read in October. I'd love to hear if you've read any of these and if you liked them. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.